Busy week it has been, and essentially a lot of the work going into monitoring the results center, ensuring that you're speaking to people on the ground. The ANC has made history, going below the 50% mark under Cyril Ramaphosa's lead. What's it been like just covering that throughout the course of the week?
I guess as journalists, we always find elections quite exciting. You know, it's always an exciting period, because the reality is that you are there, you are there, and it's history in the making. You know, you are there on the cusp of history in that we have never seen, as you're saying. The ANC dropped below 50%. In a democratic South Africa. So that's quite something. So you can imagine someone like President Ramaphosa, I'm sure it hurts a bit, because politicians obviously have egos. So to be known, because it will be recorded in history. Even if the ANC perhaps goes on in 2024 to do better in the national election, it will still be remembered that this was one of the worst performances by the governing party. But it must then also be said, Paul, that they usually the research that has been done does show that opposition parties tend to do better in local government elections than they do in national and provincial elections. So it might well be that the ANC may recover in 2024, but even if it does, it won't be by much, because what we have seen over the years since 2009 is a systemic decline of the ANC in its electoral outcomes. So it may well be that you will have an ANC result in 2024 which pretty much mirrors what we saw now. But I guess as a reporter and as a journalist, being at the National Results Center, obviously people, you're sitting there the one day and the scoreboard is empty, and then over the next 2 days it starts filling up. I must say though that this election period and the run-up to this election was quite grueling. It was short, but as I said, it's always the adrenaline gets pumping as soon as you are on the ground. I mean, we had our teams in all the provinces giving us the stories, but also being on the floor with the different politicians. What has been most interesting, though, is how they've been able to try and spin the electoral outcomes, particularly the two top parties, which is the ANC and the DA. Yeah. We had Gwede saying that, no, the ANC is not declining, it is multiplying. How? And how he explains this is that it's multiplying because other parties are actually the offspring of the ANC, that they broke away from the ANC. That's not a sign of a growing party. You know, we also saw the DA try to spin their numbers, in that what you have seen is one of the worst DA performances in local government elections. You know, having dropped from 26% in 2016 to 21%, but what have they done? They've sought to use the 2019 figures, which is a totally different election. In fact,
you spoke to John Steenhuisen on that floor, and you were trying to get some sort of reaction from him regarding Action SA's performance. I mean, Herman Mashaba being a former DA man, and that didn't really quite go as planned. I mean, well, the expectation was one to say, well done to him, he did really well, but that's not how the conversation went.
The reality is that as human beings, we do expect some level of magnanimity in politicians, particularly leaders, but of course, that's not in the, it's not freely available. I mean, I guess for the DA, it hurts the fact that they've lost some votes to Herman Mashaba, and the reality is that Herman Mashaba is a factor, particularly in the city of Johannesburg. I mean, I spoke also to the ANC's Fikile Mbalula, who pretty much said the same thing. He said that, no, Herman Mashaba is not a factor. That's not true. Herman Mashaba ate away at ANC votes in Soweto. Herman Mashaba is made inroads into some of the suburban votes of the DA in the city of Johannesburg. So the reality is that one way or the other, as we go into the coalition talks, as the parties go into the coalition talks over the next 14